One benefit of today's technology is the ability to work remotely. In a 2007 Gallup poll, 43% of employed Americans said they spent at least some time working remotely. However, when you're not in the office, you're no longer under the protection of all your company's cybersecurity safeguards. You, like many people, may enjoy working an hour or two at your favorite coffee shop, cafe, or other public hangout. If you're on your computer, you probably require access to the internet. So here's a common scenario. You sit down at a coffee shop, get a drink, and decide to take care of a few work items. You open up your laptop, find the coffee shop's Wi-Fi signal, and connect. What you don't know is that the Wi-Fi signal you thought belonged to the coffee shop doesn't. Instead, it's an access point set up by a hacker, waiting for the unsuspecting patrons like you to connect. Once you're connected to their Wi-Fi signal, they have visibility to everything you're doing on your computer. Wi-Fi attacks aren't limited to computers either, but any device that connects to a wireless access point can be vulnerable. This includes access to your phone, your tablet, or your e-reader. These fake Wi-Fi access points can be used anywhere people are trying to connect on a public Wi-Fi point, so be on guard in places such as airports, hotels, restaurants, and other busy public spots. As with other types of attacks we've covered, there are many Wi-Fi attack variants hackers use to gain access to your data. Let's look at a couple of them in more detail. First, let's look at the wireless evil twins variant. In this attack, criminals set up a fake Wi-Fi access point using the name of the actual Wi-Fi access point. Not only is the name faked, but oftentimes they will even have the same password as the original access point. With Wi-Fi users, an evil twin access point is nearly impossible to detect because the Wi-Fi name appears legitimate. Since most devices will automatically default to the strongest known Wi-Fi source, the attacker has to ensure that their signal is more powerful than the legitimate source. Next, let's talk about packet sniffing and man-in-the-middle attacks. For this attack, hackers don't even have to set up an access point to steal your information. Instead, they use devices called sniffers. When you connect to a Wi-Fi access point, packets of information are sent between you and the router. A hacker, using a sniffer, only has to gather the packet being sent between you and the router. Once captured, the hacker will have visibility into the information you're sending in the websites, including logins, passwords, emails, basically everything. So what do we do to guard ourselves against these seemingly undetectable types of attacks? The simplest and most effective way of preventing them is by using a virtual private network, or VPN. A VPN encrypts your internet connection for you. When you browse the web while connected to a VPN, your computer contacts the website through the encrypted VPN connection. The VPN forwards the request for you and forwards the response from the website back through the secure connection. What this means is, if a hacker were able to drop in on your connection, all of the data they would see would be encrypted. However, a VPN is not the only precaution needed. Let's look at a few other tips to keep in mind. First, use caution when connecting to a Wi-Fi access point. Don't connect to just any open access point. You should avoid any with the word free specifically in them. Hackers will use the word free in hopes of enticing users to connect. If you're in a public place such as a cafe, ask an employee what the name of the Wi-Fi connection is and what the password is, so you can be sure you're using the official connection. One way to test if the public Wi-Fi is intact and not an evil twin is to try deliberately signing in first with the wrong password. If you gain entry with the wrong password, disconnect immediately. Many of the times, hackers who want as many people as possible to connect will let anyone on, regardless if the password is correct or not. Next, if you aren't using a VPN, avoid all sites that contain sensitive data like banking or any e-commerce site where you need to enter credit card information. Another easy tip is to turn off Wi-Fi auto-connecting settings. While this feature is nice at home, using auto-connect may accidentally put you on an illegitimate network when you're out in public. Another good piece of advice is to turn off file sharing before accessing any public Wi-Fi. If you keep file sharing on, it's possible your folders may be accessible to anyone connected to the same public network. Additionally, keep your firewall on and antivirus software up to date as soon as patches and system updates are released. Security issues often happen when software patches aren't enabled on your device and lack the latest protections. And the final tip, always log out. When you're done browsing, be sure to log out of any services you were using. Also, check your settings to make sure your device will forget the network to which you were connected to and not automatically reconnect to that network again if you're within range without your permission. While you can never be 100% safe on public Wi-Fi, these tips will go a long way in keeping you safe.